everybody, and welcome to another episode of Book Goodies, the author series, and also today, the social media, how to use social media. So I'm your host, I'm one of your hosts, Deborah Carney, and I'm joined by our other host, Karen Garcia. Hi, Karen, how are you today?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. And
Excellent.
We have with us the team that wrote the book, Pinterest for Business, which is really a hot topic right now. Can each of you introduce yourselves and what your role was in the book?
Sure, Ed, why don't you start?
Ed?
Hold on, I was on mute there. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we got you.
Great. So, my name is Ed Swiderski. I am also a partner at Kambio Group, along with Jess. And is Kristen on the line, too?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Kristen is one of our research assistants for the book, but she also is one of our staff members, too. So we all kind of partnered up with lots of help, actually. I'd like to think that I helped come up with really sort of the overall, some of the overall kind of architecture of the book itself. So mainly, what areas do we think that specifically that businesses can embrace social media outside of just traditional Facebook and Twitter? So, we've all used traditional social media tools and platforms for business, but we think that this next wave of visual networks and social media visualization networks are really the next generation, and that's really it's creating the most impact out there with marketing.
Well, and I think that is accurate since Pinterest took off from zero to hero in no time at all. And I think it's because the World Wide Web is such a visual experience, or becoming much more of a visual experience. People just latched onto it and the ability to share things. So, and Jess, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Jess Loren, and I'm also a partner at Kambio Group. And you asked earlier in the call, how we came up with the idea. At Kambio Group, we are a social media marketing company. So, writing a book about the hottest new social network lended well to our business. So we had been in contact with a publisher. We are with Pearson Q Publishing, and we were in the deal, working out the deal, and we wound up getting the book deal with them. And the book just came along. They gave us a 3-month deadline to get the book done, and
nice.
Yeah, so it was very tight. But the reason for the tight deadline was because of the hottest social network. They wanted really to get it to publish. So that's where we brought in Kristen to be our research assistant. And if you're an author out there, I definitely recommend having a research assistant to help you with your book, especially when there's such a tight deadline to finish such a big project. So.
And it's really cool that you found a publisher. We have a lot of discussion between self-publishing and traditional publishing, and you found a publisher that was willing to work with you, even though they gave you, only 3 months. The fact is that if you worked with a publisher that wasn't going to publish it for a year, Pinterest is going to be way different a year from now than it is right now.
Oh, completely. And actually, because of the timeline, we were actually able to negotiate a higher advance for us because of the 3-month deadline. So
nice.
Just another tip out there is if you are in negotiations for your advance and they give you a strict deadline, you can negotiate there.
Okay. Kristen, why don't you say hi to us? And we know that you're the researcher, but tell us a little bit about what your research was like.
Yeah. Well, I'm Kristen Micek. I work as a digital media strategist with Kambio Group, too. And so when they came up with the book deal, I was really excited to go on as the team as a research assistant, and a lot of it was really just looking at how Pinterest differs from the other social media networks and how we can utilize it and kind of leverage it as a word-of-mouth advertising tool, and also just to expand brand awareness and increase engagement. And I did a lot of looking for companies that were using it, seeing how they were using it, reaching out to them, interviewing a lot of companies, as well as handling a few different Pinterest accounts for companies. We could get a lot more first-hand experience as to what worked, what didn't work, looking at analytics and the like. So.
Okay.
Go ahead, and we can get into the research later. I mean, we worked extensively with a number of companies for that 3-month period. So.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, why don't one of you explain to us, what is contained in the book? Is it case studies? Is it strategy tips? Is it both?
Yeah, it's all of the above, actually. It's really a book about, you grab the book, and if you're a business owner, a small business owner, or even a larger business from the executive level down, you can take the book and use it as a how-to guide as to how to get started on Pinterest, as well as strategic ways in which to set up your boards and how to use it for, really a return on investment. One of our clients, we did a lot of, like I said, research in ROI for Pinterest, and you'll find that within the book, as well as many case studies. And we really tried to hit on every industry we possibly could within the book, and especially in chapters 5 and 6, we get into many different industries, from retail to the restaurant industry. We covered a company called Do It Best, which is, Ed can speak more to that. We actually did a live presentation for Do It Best, which lended well to talking more into the book. Ed, did you want to cover that?
Ed,
sorry, guys. I'm muted again. I keep getting noise. We've got this construction outside of our office, so I'm trying to keep it slow. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with Do It Best? A large hardware retailer. They're a $1 billion company, public company. They are based in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and they're essentially a hardware store that is located throughout the world. They've got around 4,000 stores, and they are sort of at this point where their organization has really kind of resisted social media, and their technologists have, they want to embrace it, right? So they have a marketing team that wants to embrace it, and they came to us with about 25 Twitter followers in a $1 billion company that's retail. So that was sort of, shocking to see that. Mm-hmm. And so what we did is we really wanted to help the internal marketing and technology team sell social media, and we knew that, Pinterest is certainly going to be growing like crazy in the retail business, and it already is. So we came up with a sort of a real-world scenario of how they could embrace Pinterest specifically. And we started out basically from an end-to-end sort of discovery of a project, a do-it-yourself project online through a blog, all the way through purchasing the materials and the supplies from the actual hardware stores and checking out with your cart and making a purchase, sort of all the way through the workflow of really discovering something online that you may have stumbled upon on a blog, and then all the way through building it and steps to create it, and then finding the SKUs within the store, and then adding it to your shopping cart, and then essentially going and picking it up from the store.
Now, that's really interesting that you're using that type of a client to do that, because I have a client that is in the remodeling business, and he embraced Pinterest right from the beginning, and he's seeing a lot of sales coming directly from, posting finished products or finished projects that used his materials, and I think that's a great example of how a business that might not think they can use Pinterest actually is.
Right. And I'm in the room with, 20 of their executives, at the world headquarters, and they just kind of lit up, and it kind of was one of those moments where, okay, we kind of get social media now, and so we were able to engage them. We're in the process of really helping them sort of really kind of cultivate the whole social media experience for the company, and then they're going to actually push that out to all of their stores too. So really big impact on the organization as a whole, and it really was the key. Was that I think that they really needed to see someone from that external point of view to kind of show them, to help them sell it. And half the time that's the issue, right? There's no one internally that can really sell it, and if you get a third party perspective, I think it helps out a ton.
Yeah, isn't it really funny that, they won't believe their own employees, but you bring in that consultant, man, and, oh, okay.
Right. Exactly.
Time to run with it. Karen, do you have any clients that you're using Pinterest specifically with, or projects of your own?
I dabble for the most part. My clients are also dabblers. Mm-hmm. So several of them are working on new photography because, of course, Pinterest is a very visual medium, and the photography is incredibly important. And without good photography, it's kind of looks a little hokey.
Yeah. You don't want people repinning a blurry photo of your wonderful
exactly.
thing.
You want it to be quality. You want it to to really shine, because if it's going to go out virally to 600, 6,000 whatever people, you want it to actually look and represent your brand well.
All right, awesome. Ed, you can. Why don't you keep telling us about where you were going?
We can cover more areas of the book. I mean, the traditional sense of the DIY is kind of how Pinterest started, but, for the book we actually worked with even a dentist, a dental office, and you wouldn't traditionally think of a dental office having a Pinterest page, but essentially it wound up becoming one of their highest referrers to their website, and they were really happy with the experience of us, kind of creating the account for them and doing a case study with them, and they've continued to use it. Kristen, did you want to add anything to the dental experience?
It was really interesting just to see what kind of images were picking up. And
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of, you kind of hit on, people with the best smiles, and you do small things like that to get awareness. But then you also found that a lot of people were interested in using it as a way to find articles about dental hygiene and health and, what some of these things that dental practices offer. And so people were actually clicking through the images to go to the links and to read more about it. And so the dental office we worked with actually had a lot of educational articles up on their website with images. So it was great that we were able to link those images to the articles, and so people were actually going directly to the site and reading about it.
But then on the fun side, you can also do things like celebrity smiles. Celebrities tend to get, a lot of visual attention, so that helps as well.
And one of the other things I'm thinking about as I'm listening to this is now, and I know this from following different people on Facebook and Twitter, are you seeing the companies that you're engaging with now writing more content and making sure that there's always an image with the content that they post?
I mean, it is a bit of a time-consuming practice to take on. We found that a lot of people, if they haven't started, are definitely receptive towards the idea and starting to integrate it into their strategy moving forward.
So actually, a yogurt company that we worked with, they're a Greek yogurt called Better Way of Life, and their website, had a few images, but then once, through a 3-month period and always, working with the waterfall format that Pinterest has, you always have to keep fresh content and fresh images. So we found different ways to, find other images to pin. And so, yes, to answer your question, it's definitely changed the habits of our clients and how people themselves react to creating content with images rather than just text alone.
And so basically, Pinterest, which is a tool, is now kind of shaping the future of the content generation of companies to encourage more people to pin their articles and to, like you said, the waterfall effect to get people to go down. So traditionally, a dentist wouldn't think about putting too much content on their sites, and certainly not, pictures of a guy drilling in another guy's mouth or something. But they were smart enough to know that they need to give people information, and along with the information now to share via social media, you need to add an image so that you can get on the Pinterest train.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and you would ask specifically about, authors. Actually, one of our clients, one of our case studies that we wrote about for the book is a company called Simple Truth. And they're a company that produces books that are inspirational. They're, your coffee table books or books to get people to inspire them in their life. So what we did with that is, as far as authors are concerned with their books, you can take little excerpts from your chapters or great quotes or statements within your book and turn them into a visual element. So one of the best pins that we had while doing the case study is from one of their books is a quote, "Life is better when you're laughing." So life is better when you're laughing, and it's literally just bold text in white with a green background, and that was repinned and repinned and repinned over and over and over again. And the link back goes to the book on their page on socialtruths.com. So just from that simple quote, life is better when you're laughing, you can see a direct ROI to sales of the book, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. And for the authors that are listening, and I know we'll get more of a general audience listening too, but for the authors that are listening, one of the other authors that I interviewed in the last couple of weeks said that she actually has a Pinterest Tuesday where every Tuesday she does a blog post about a scene or a character, and she uses an image that she found that represents that scene or that character. And she posts that to her blog and then posts it to Pinterest, and she gets feedback from her readers and, of course, drives herself new traffic. But she uses, and I didn't realize so many authors used like real photos or clippings from a newspaper or, different things, and are more visual like I am. I'm a professional photographer, so everything I do is visual. And taking a quote from the book and putting it on an image and linking that to the book, that's awesome, because that's what everybody is pinning and putting on Facebook. And so it's driving social media to be more visual.
Definitely. And part of the other thing that we really express in the book is the power of running contests on Pinterest. And it's a great medium in which to run a contest. We work with a number of companies. I'm not sure if your listeners are familiar with Jetsetter, but they're a luxury deal site, I guess you could say. And while they were doing our case study process, they ran a contest, and they saw an increase in, what was the increase percentage? It was substantial.
I know it was either, we talked to a few like Roads and Dairy Rooms, FTA, Visit Bucks County, and I'm not entirely sure, I can check, but I know some of them got up to 400% increase in followers to contest.
Yeah, so contests, they really increase your followers and your outreach and engagement level. And so we talk in depth in the book, specifically how to run a contest, tips on how to do it, the different types of contests that you can run on Pinterest. And then also we get in, we touch in a number of chapters on legal. We spoke to probably over 100 people in researching for the book, from lawyers to doctors, specifically psychologists, on how people respond to images in the brain. So we really got in depth with the book in specifics of, why is this network on such a growth pattern? Mm-hmm. Why do images really captivate people? And how can this medium help your business? So really, from stem to stern, the book really covers the gamut of how you can use it for your business.
That's really awesome, because I don't think anybody has put that together before, and I think that I'm going to have to buy the book.
We love to hear that. It's on Amazon. We'll be in Barnes and Nobles nationwide on August 8th, I believe.
Okay. Is it available electronically as well as print?
Yes, Amazon is going to available. It'll be available digitally after the release of the printed version.
Okay.
So I don't have the exact date on that, but we can have our publisher contact you with that.
Okay, awesome. Karen, do you have any questions?
Not right now. It's pretty in depth. I'm actually really intrigued about the contests, just because I do have a lot of retail clients, and they're interested in setting up a contest, but they're not exactly certain how to do it, and so that's kind of exciting.
Well, yeah, and the fact that other social media doesn't allow you, like Facebook won't allow you to run a contest,
right?
Without using an app, and I don't like using apps, so I'm not going to run a contest. And Twitter, you can run a contest on Twitter, and I actually am going to be doing that in a week. But again, it's very short term, and flies very fast now. Tweets don't hang around very long. So
yeah,
a contest on Pinterest sounds extremely interesting, and that's probably part of the reason. And I want to see the psychological research, where you talk to the doctors and why is it taking off so well? And, what did they, I mean, there's other visual bookmarking sites, but why did Pinterest in particular catch everybody's attention and take off like a rocket?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and to talk more about the contest, I mean, if we could offer, any sort of tip, kind of 5 tips that we live by here as far as the contests go for your listeners is, number one, be very clear and compelling and interactive with your contest. Make sure that your contest guidelines are very clear and very well set out. So in our case studies, we just found that the companies that were more clear about the rules and the guidelines and the simpler it was, the more successful the contest can be. So that's number one. Number two is cross-promote. So Pinterest is very easy to navigate with Twitter and Facebook. So always cross-promote across all of your networks. Number three, just get creative with the brand. These contests are dedicated to a visual format, so you can use Photoshop or other things to get very creative and with the titles. And because you can cross-promote with Twitter, you can use hashtags, which Jess did a great job of using hashtags to track their contests. So just get very creative and, give your brand a personality. Give it a voice, give it a tone. Number four, we just say, balance your text with your image appeal. So we talked earlier about using, if you're an author, using, a quote from your book, but also you can also do it in a creative way and make sure the image balances with your text. And then last but not least is make sure that your legal representative is clear and concise in the rules for your contest and make sure everything is on the up and up. So those are kind of our 5 basic tips on running contests.
That's awesome. I mean, just that in itself, I want to buy the book so I can read the details. Because, let's face it, we're in a world where everybody's looking for something. And if you can put out an easy to understand contest that, people have to follow you on Twitter or just retweet or repin or post it to your Facebook wall, people they just go crazy over it. And it's great for brand awareness. And then as far as actually generating sales, like I said, one of my clients does actually get sales directly from, Pinterest. Someone will click on one of his pins or something that somebody else has pinned, and, he can see in his referral logs that these people are coming from Pinterest, going to his website, ordering samples, and then completing a purchase. So you can show that there is a direct line. And have you found that there's certain industries that are better than others?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, anything that's, has a product and is visual based, anything that's a service is very hard. But Kristen, did you want to touch on our case studies that you found more successful and companies that are more successful?
I mean, obviously Pinterest really lends itself to, craft-based and, things that are beauty, have like the beauty appeal.
Wedding companies. We talked about a number of wedding planners.
Yeah, wedding planners, Etsy sellers, everything from home industry to, we talked to Benjamin more about paint as well and how they, their color conception, design. And we found that a lot of them, people pin things that they find visually attractive and they don't always realize the companies they're pinning from until later on. But it's something that people, when they look back on, then have that kind of bookmark of these companies and they see this is what I've liked, this is where I can get it as well.
And the URLs follow through with the repins, right? Like someone can't repin it and change the landing page, so usually your landing page is going to stick with you?
Yeah, but people can add to that. They can add their own statements as well when you're repinning.
Okay.
I think another thing about Pinterest is it lends well to branding, yourself and your own work, for authors especially, and, for personalities and celebrities and what have you. It lends very well to repinning a lot of things that are written on the internet about them. And I think Ed has done a good job with his personal Pinterest page because, Ed is currently starring on an ABC reality show, but he uses it to pin a lot of articles that are written about him and kind of, engage people with his brand. Ed, did you want to comment on any of that?
I certainly don't. I really don't treat Pinterest any different than I do any other social network. I think that at the end of the day, it's a place for you to do what you want to accomplish with your brand and your business. And in Pinterest won't be around forever. There will be other social networks that come out too, and they all are very interesting and unique. But there are always new ones coming out, and I think that each one of them should be used differently. I personally like to use it just for like really kind of drawing people into my personal blog that I write on, and any other kind of media, like any kind of media that's visually focused. I use that to sort of funnel into my main personal website that I blog at. So even if you're a writer and you blog too, it certainly is a great place to kind of draw attention to use as another funnel into your core, portal for whatever you use for blogging, whether it's WordPress or any other platform out there.
Right, because you can pin any page that has an image on it.
That's right.
Can we ask what reality show you're on, or is it a secret?
No, it's no secret. I'm on ABC's, it's called The Bachelor Pad, and I was formerly the winner of The Bachelorette a few years ago, and so I was invited back to come to this sort of spin-off of a program. It's on Monday night, so if you're really interested in it, you can catch it next Monday night.
Awesome. I know someone who who probably watches it, so she'll be thrilled. She'll be thrilled.
It's great TV, let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, and there's another trend, that reality TV and that type of thing can harness Pinterest, and like you said, build your personal brand as an actor or as whatever you want. Like you're an actor. What else do? You speak,
entertainer, anything. Sure.
Yeah, and you can do fun things with I mean, I don't know if you've already done this, but I would do a board where you said, everybody pin your favorite picture or article you've seen about me.
Yeah, that sounds not bad. I'm going to wait till some better ones come out for that, but it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek program, but it's definitely fun, and yeah, I mean, I think that people that are interested in getting into media, I'm not personally into the whole media scene, but I think that if you are interested in it, you can use it in different unique ways that can help you sort of accelerate your career if you use it in the right way. And, obviously modeling and that kind of stuff would be a huge for Pinterest. So there are lots of different ways.
Pinterest makes me wish I was still a wedding photographer. I did that, a long time ago. I did wedding photography for 25, 30 years. And, now it would be like a breeze. I mean, once I got started, all my clients were word of mouth anyway, but this would be like, I could start a company, and if I did well, I could hire 5 other photographers and, go off on a real tangent. But,
well, we just actually, we just got a new customer, and they're one of the largest wedding planning companies in Chicago, and they are very interested in embracing Pinterest, and so it was really good timing for us because we're seeing more and more wedding planning going on Pinterest for sure. So it's a great industry for that, definitely.
Yeah, it's. I got to tell you, I wasn't a fan. I as a professional photographer, I was, along with all those people with all the copyright and don't pin my, they were keeping originals or whatever, and I was one of those folks that was like, oh, this isn't going to last because they're going to get in trouble, and then you start thinking out of the box, which is, okay, well, I don't have to pin my really, really great photos. I can pin a smaller version of something that's related to a book that I'm selling, or, I can do a book cover and, do different things to be engaging and not giving away the house. So I think there are a lot of photographers that still want to stay away from Pinterest because they're afraid. And it's like, once you're out on the internet, people can take your images anyway. So, you just have to be careful what you're putting up there. And I think that that's starting to hopefully, Pinterest just needs to allay the fears of a few of the bigger artists and photographers and realize people aren't going to steal their stuff and put it on a T-shirt on eBay.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, what else does the book cover? You've told us that you cover contests, psychology, case studies. What else is in there?
Just basically how to engage, build your connections, a deep down process of, board creation and how to do all that, your board descriptions, basically the naming of your boards and why you do or why you name boards certain names. A big section about, how do you track all this movement that you're doing on this new social network, from Google Analytics to third-party sites that are popping up all over the place to help track your Pinterest traffic. Basically, the virality effect. So how are you going to make these pins become viral and really, speak to your brand and, for your business, create that ROI that everyone's searching after. So the quality of your pins, the quality of your images. We spoke to a number of photographers. We spoke to videographers because, not just images, but there's also video on Pinterest.
Yep.
So we covered, spoke to a few professional videographers who have done major television shows, to photographers who have worked with large magazines, doctors we mentioned before. I mean, we really spoke to over 100 people for this book. So we covered the gamut of anyone in every industry, from restaurant owners to, like we said earlier, Benjamin Moore, to Threadless here in Chicago, which is a retailer of T-shirts.
We love Threadless.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I love to hear that. So, but yeah, we're actually having a large launch party here in Chicago that we're really going to be, giving a cheers to everyone that was contributing to the book. And it's during Social Media Week on September 27th at Rocket here in Chicago. So if any of your listeners are in Chicago and love to come to the book launch party, we'd love to have you. We're actually, Fast Company magazine is doing a feature on Ed and I for the book in their September issue, so you can catch us in the September issue of Fast Company. There's a lot of things that are happening surrounding Pinterest. And if any of your listeners ever have any questions, they can feel free to contact myself or Ed on Twitter or our email. I am Chi-Town Jess on Twitter. That's CHITOWN Jess on Twitter. Kristen, she can be emailed anytime as well, and on Twitter. And then Ed can tell you his contact information. But I'm just Loren at CambioGroup.com with K, and Kristen.
I'm just K Micek at Kambio Group.
Okay, and how do you spell Kambio Group?
It's Kambio. K is in kite, AMBIO Group, Kambio Group. And if I could leave your listeners with anything, is just always be pinning. It's the key to Pinterest is fresh content with the waterfall aspect that they have for the website. So huge importance on fresh content. So always be pinning.
Always be pinning. That's awesome. And you've mentioned the waterfall effect. For people who may not be familiar, can you explain the waterfall effect and how that works? I mean, Karen and I know, obviously, but some of our listeners might be like, what? What's a waterfall? It's a place where I pin things.
Sure.
Well, that's the whole great thing about Pinterest, is the opening page is a compilation of everything that everybody pins on the website. And so every time somebody pins something, it goes to the top of the website, and then it keeps shuffling through and waterfalls down, as Jeff said. And so you're always seeing the freshest content. And then we also have it subdivided by category, so you can go to categories like humor or entertainment or technology and
things like that.
And see what the freshest content that anybody's pinning those categories are as well.
And you also, I was told a while ago, I don't know if this holds true, that the video, it's actually easier to get ranked in the video area and get traffic from the video area because fewer people are using it.
That is true. Video on Pinterest is still kind of a new concept, so anything new anywhere on the internet is always fresh and virginal, I guess you could say. So video is definitely somewhere where you can gain interest on Pinterest. And it's funny, the waterfall method of design is actually something you'll see that's growing in other places on the internet. So the other day I was just, not that I'm a huge fan of hers, but Paris Hilton, her website is now in a waterfall format, and you're seeing it pop in other websites as well. So it just kind of rings true to the fact that people are, more ADD is hitting society in that they just want to see an image and maybe not read so much text and get to the point with an image. So I think, Pinterest is definitely been a disruption, but a disruption in that a good way. So it has changed the way people think about content. as we said earlier, and the way people see images and how they think about presenting those images on digital formats. So.
Well, you guys have just given me all kinds of stuff to think about, and I'm really glad that you contacted us, because it's been Pinterest there's been a couple of things, a couple little bumps in the road where, people were questioning some things they were doing, and it seems that now they've kind of settled in, and, they haven't figured out quite how to monetize themselves yet, but that's coming down the road. But the one thing I did want to ask you said something about the third party. There are a lot of third party solutions that are coming up, and I'm not exactly sure what value they bring, other than obviously if something can do the tracking and analytics. Some of them are use their site to create your pins or whatever, and I'm a little confused as to how they add value. Do you have any opinion on any of the third-party things, or do you just recommend people just go straight to Pinterest and just use it?
I mean, I think the best thing to do is obviously just to work on Pinterest on your own and kind of look at your own analytics. But I think we talk to companies such as Curate, and we do reference Pinterly, on how the more in-depth analytics and, seeing how they can track it and see what demographics you're hitting. There's definitely value in that, because the more in-depth you get on anything, the more analytics you get really help you to really add cohesion to what you are pinning and see what's working and what isn't.
Yeah, we spoke to Pin League, League isn't a baseball league, and Pin Reach as well. There's a number of them out there. I think if I were to recommend anything, is Google Analytics is really the key to everything we've done, and tracking has just worked great for us. So, a lot of these third-party sites are maybe just for people who don't want to get into the Google Analytics aspect of it and make it easier for themselves. But it worked just fine for us, and we were able to track, in most cases, Pinterest is in the top 5 refer for all of our clients. So Pinterest really does drive a lot of traffic to your site. And actually, Ed mentioned, his personal blog earlier. We run a blog called socialtechpop.com, and we really saw our readership go up on certain articles that we were pinning to Pinterest because of the visual element of it. And as far as the visual aspect goes, as far as the legality, we have a chapter in the book that covers that. As we said earlier, we spoke to many lawyers, so we really tried to get in depth with that, and so people can really understand the legality and not be afraid to use Pinterest.
Right.
The consensus with all the lawyers we spoke to is, we asked them the specific question is, should I not use Pinterest? And all of their answer was across the board, use Pinterest. You should not be afraid of it. So,
are you seeing with the third-party providers? Are you seeing them having issues because Pinterest doesn't yet have a public API?
Actually, one of our clients who is they are a franchise of Visa. They talked about the API, and then they, said they weren't going to do it. So I think, yes, they are running into some issues. We didn't really get into depth about that in the book, just because the third-party people, you can use the site itself pretty effectively with Google Analytics and in your own tracking. So I don't think with running a contest, there's many ways that you can track different things, and you can see the results pretty upfront.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I think it's going to end up being, the contest thing is going to be what's going to be really help it take off, because let's face it, we're in a visual society that likes free stuff. So you're pulling together two things that are and you talk about both of them in your book. So that's going to make that a very attractive book for a lot of businesses to read. Ed, did you have something to add in?
Well, no. I think the API conversation is interesting though, because I'm a big fan of utilizing APIs and integration and all that, and I think that, like Jess said, I think it's kind of deliberate at this point. I think that you really need to be on the network itself to really kind of experience and utilize it. And, I don't know what the future lies for it from an API perspective, but I think that, it can probably present some pretty interesting scenarios if it were implemented, but I'm just trying to figure out what it would, what it could do. Really, from an analytics perspective, there are some tools out there like Pinterly that work great, but yeah, I'm interested in that too. I don't know where that's going to go.
Yeah, I know that it's supposed to come out in the next couple of months, but they have been saying that for some time now. So I'm not exactly certain if they have an actual date. But I do know that we have seen some of the third-party tools really get hammered hard because they've been using the data improperly. And I would be hesitant to pay any third-party for anything on the off chance that you've given them money for a service and then their service is suddenly gone because they've been shut down by Pinterest themselves because there isn't an API.
Right. We've seen that happen on every network, so
I was
it definitely is possible.
Twitter. Yeah, on Twitter they started, there were people that paid for services that the service got shut down because they were, in violation of, using all of Twitter's resources, so Twitter couldn't stay up or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I think an API though, would be very useful. My only big fear is, Pinterest seems to have recovered for the most part from the massive influx of spam that happened earlier this year, and to have an API completely open and public to everybody, I could see that being another really large issue.
Yeah, possible.
Well, now you said that the book is being released in September. So when is it going to be available for folks? And
actually, the book is being released in August. So August 8th is what they're telling us will be shipped out to Barnes and Nobles nationwide. We are currently online on Amazon.com. We're on BarnesandNoble.com. We'll be in all of their retail locations across the country, as well as on Pearson and Q's website. So there's a number of places that your listeners can find our book, and we're super excited to answer any questions that the readers of the book may have.
Okay. Does the book have its own website, or is it just, going to your Twitter, like you said earlier, and Kristen?
Yes, the book is going to have a website. It's pinyourcompany.com. That's PIN yourcompany.com.
It is in progress.
Okay.
All websites are always in progress. If your website is no longer in progress, then that means that you're not paying attention.
Right. I wish our customers knew that.
That is a good point. And, and I want to make a point about website versus blog. There's a lot of people that think that that websites and blogs are totally different animals, and they treat their blog like it's something to be afraid of, and that, they have a website, I guess, that they see as being static, and then there's this blog thing that, I talked to an author today that was like, oh, I can't blog. I'm a writer and I can't blog, but I have a website. And I'm like, duh. You can put these things together, and just because you have a blog doesn't mean you have to write on it every day. And I got her to write me she's going to write me a guest post for something, and I explained to her, in her language, she needed to know what a guest post was, and I'm like, and then at the end she's like, okay, how many words do you want? And I'm like, well, 500. She goes, oh, that's easy, I can knock that out. Well, there you go. You throw an image on your topic, and you've got a blog that can be pinned. And
right.
I think that reuse of content is one of the big things that I preach to people. Make sure that you spread the word, that you get on all the different social sites. Our clients are, active in a bunch of different areas. And I think that, like you said, Ed, Pinterest is not going to be around forever. There's going to be clones. There'll probably be niche Pinterests. But for right now, they're the queen of the ball, and, they're the ones to go to and learn how to market yourself using the visual data. And your company's going to be better for it because you're learning new ways to generate content, which was one of the points I was trying to make earlier, is that, it's making people think when they do a blog post that, oh, I got to find an image, and then they have to go over to iStock Photo or some other photo, stock photo place to grab images, and it's making them rethink how they're building their sites, and I think that's making them rebuild their sites in a good way.
Yep, you're exactly right. And content today is really king, and we all know that the search algorithms are all, are in the process, and some of them are already driven by fresh content and relevant content, and static websites are going to be a thing of the past pretty soon with content management systems and dynamic platforms out there. So this is just another way to really get fresh content onto your site, and whatever medium that is, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Pinterest, there will be something else out there tomorrow, and you just really have to embrace it and leverage it however you can.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys all for taking time out of your day. Ed, can you give us your contact information first, and we'll run through the
Sure. Yes, my contact information, the easiest way would be just ed@kambiogroup.com. So that's just ed@KAMBIO group.com. And I'm Swiderski on Twitter, so it's ESWIDERSKI at Twitter. So.
Okay, and you have
Thank you guys. Thanks for having us.
You have your own website?
I do. It's Swiderski.info is my blog, and I've got I write about various subjects, but some reality TV related, some related to our business, and so some personal stuff up there too. But it's just good. I've got good SEO because I do write, pretty often, and I've got fresh content up there, and you can see in the search results how fast it comes up.
Beautiful. Jess, why don't you go next?
Sure, yeah. As I said earlier, I'm on Twitter. It's Chi-Town Jess, CHITOWN Jess on Twitter. My email is jloren, JLOREN @KambioGroup.com. You can find more information about our company at KambioGroup.com. And yeah, I'm on Pinterest, also Chi-Town Jess on Pinterest. And Ed can tell you his Pinterest hook.
Ed, what's your Pinterest? Did we lose
My
Ed?
Pinterest account is Swiderski also, so same as Twitter.
Okay, cool. And Kristen?
Yeah, I can be contacted on Twitter as well at Kristen Micek, KristenMicek, and also at kmicek at KambioGroup.com.
Okay, awesome. And we want to thank you all again for being with us. Karen, why don't you give us your Pinterest board too?
Yeah, sure. Just totally spaced. You caught me off guard. I was going to give you Twitter first, and then you said Pinterest. Well, I am on Twitter. My Twitter is Karen Garcia, and my Pinterest is Karen M. Garcia.
Okay, awesome. And I don't know my Pinterest. My Pinterest, one of my Pinterests is BookGoodies. So we're gonna stick with BookGoodies since this is what the podcast is for. You can go to BookGoodies.com. You can go to Facebook, Twitter, or Pinterest /BookGoodies, BookGoodies. And if you go to our website, BookGoodies.com, you can find this podcast along with other podcasts from authors and author services and bloggers and all kinds of things. And you can offer to be our guest. You can click a link to be our guest on a podcast and to tell us about your book. You can. There's a link at the top of the page to fill in your book information, and we'll get that out to people. So I want to thank again everybody for being on the show today. It's been very informative and enlightening. And I know I'll certainly be going out to get the book soon. And good luck with your launch party in September. And, for all of our listeners, thank you for listening, and follow your dreams and get writing, and have a great day.